mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies, and sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Court of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Logan. Here, we talk about everything film and TV. And in today's episode, we're going to go into something a little bit actually familiar because we just recently did a news episode on Monday, and now today is Wednesday, and I have to do it again. This past week has been extremely hectic. I went to record that previous news episode on last week, Thursday-ish, and the only big topics at the time was the Tarantino stuff and then Scarlett Johansson. And then, like, an hour after I recorded that episode is when this news dropped for Netflix stuff. So I either had the choice to A, go back and re-record that Monday episode, or B, make a completely new one, which clearly I chose the latter. That's what I'm doing here today. And in today's episode, we're going to be going into this entire Warner Brothers drama. And also, I'm actually not even mad that I didn't decide to go back and re-record that episode from Monday, because on Monday, when that episode came out, there was more news that dropped with Paramount coming into this Warner Brothers news. So, extremely safe to say, this has been, I think, for me at least, top 3 craziest weeks in the podcast history, and just the real reason why I rarely ever decide to do news episodes, because news is always changing, news is always coming, and I really sometimes don't have the patience to go about this type of work. But here I am today going into this news because it's very big, it's beyond myself, it's beyond everything. It's a very big topic and one that I feel like I really, really should give some thoughts on. I know that everyone's been making the rounds with this story and showing off exactly what's been going on in the news, what this all means, but I feel like I should, as someone who's in the space, as someone who records a podcast on movies, I should probably give out and voice my opinions and thoughts on this news, because a lot of things are changing. There's going to be a lot of big changes coming in the next few years for film and cinema, and I should probably give my thoughts on this entire matter. So, once again, the things that we're going to be talking about here today is that Netflix is to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, or just Warner Brothers, following the separation from Discovery Global for a total enterprise value of $82.7 billion. Then on Monday, the second topic, which is technically comboed in with this one, is that Paramount is launching a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, which is going to be including Warner Brothers and the Discovery side of things, and it's going to be for a lot more money. I think it's going to be for like $104 billion-ish, I think, something like that. It's a very large number, a lot more than any of us make here in this room today. But still, it's a very big topic, and things I should probably clarify. I should probably clarify what this episode is and what it is not, just so we're all on the same page here on what I will and won't be talking about. So, number 1. This is a movie podcast with a host who barely even passed math in middle school. So this is not going to be a economy or finance episode. I do not know anything when it comes to how multi-billion dollar businesses acquire other multi-billion dollar businesses. I'm not exactly experienced in that field, so therefore I will not be voicing my opinion or thoughts or breaking down to the granular detail on exactly what this deal is encapsulating with all of the over $100 billion for these companies with their valuations. That's not what the show is. I'll be mentioning here and there, but for context, that's not what it is at all. Number 2, this entire episode is just really pure speculation, just because Netflix did not buy Warner Brothers just yet. This deal, this entire thing, it's going to take about 12 to 18 months to be approved by Congress and go through that whole shebang, and this right now is getting a lot of big pushback from Congress. When it comes to these type of things here, it's not like when I go on Facebook Marketplace and decide to buy a bicycle for $20 or decide to buy a t-shirt for $10. That takes like a day and a half to close, maybe even more, because Facebook Marketplace can be really annoying, but still. When it comes to multi-billion dollar companies acquiring other companies and this, that, and the third, it's not that easy. It takes a very, very long time, especially something like this that is extremely huge. This is a massive, massive thing happening right now. It's not going to happen overnight. It won't be done next week. It won't be done next month. it may not even be done a year from today. So I want to get some clarification to that. This is all just pure speculation, and it's not a finance episode. This deal, it's going to take 12 to 18 months, even more than that, maybe, perhaps. May take 2-3 years to happen. But still, this is just purely my thoughts. What are the problems with this, and what are the pros? Maybe there might be some pros here. Here's my thoughts on everything. I'm just going to be going in today and just giving my thoughts on all of it, and then we can just really decide to just put this one away for a little bit and get back to the movies. So number one, maybe I should just focus on clarifying and addressing that I don't hate Netflix. That's one thing that I maybe should come out and say. I know that I'm going to be saying some things here that are going to be attacking the company, but I really don't hate Netflix. I have a Netflix account of my own. I watched a movie on Netflix earlier this week on Sunday. I have praised a lot of films that have come out of Netflix. I recently last week praised Stranger Things, the biggest show on Netflix and one of the biggest shows in the entire world. I don't hate the studio or Netflix. It's grown a lot, but still, I don't hate Netflix. They're one of my, not most used, but still, I use them pretty frequently. I don't hate Netflix. Never have, never really will. And I think that still it's important to recognize and accept they've done some good with the film industry. I mean, they really have. It's evolved in a certain direction because of them. You can say it's good or bad, but still, I think that, a lot of people do experience films from home, especially in this, current climate and environment. That's how films are consumed a lot nowadays. And they've given voices and opportunities to a lot of people that would have never really happened outside of Netflix. I know in a Rick and Morty episode, there's a quote from Rick and Morty. There's a moment from Rick and Morty where Morty goes to Netflix and he's like, I know they take anything, and I know that this may not be the biggest in the world, but I have a Netflix pitch and it's going to be really big. I'm really excited for it. And it's a joke in the moment for the show, but still Netflix really does take some interesting and unique strides and gives a lot of really cool opportunities to great directors and great writers. And still, I really do have some appreciation for them. Looking at a lot of just really awesome films. Scorsese's a 3-4 hour mobster epic with Robert De Niro and also Joe Pesci, and also a lot of incredible actors in there too. It's a great opportunity, and there's really a lot of great films from Netflix, a lot of bad ones, but still, what Netflix has done, it's been impactful. It's been, I wouldn't say inspirational, but still, what they've done is impressive, and I do appreciate what they have done for the industry to an extent. I'm going to really just, go into the bad stuff here, but still, to an extent, I don't hate Netflix. They've done some good stuff, and I don't hate them. That's all I want to say. I don't want to trash on them for the entire episode. But still, now, on to trashing Netflix. Why this deal is bad, and why the entire world is going crazy, and why I am also a little bit upset by it. Now, number one, the theatrical experience. That's really the main thing here, and where all of the concern comes in as to why this deal is bad news bears. Aside from, like I said, I'm not going to go into finances and economy stuff, but there is also concern for this being a monopoly issue. There is also concern for it leading to massive layoffs, leading to negativity in the economy, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not going into that stuff, but still, that's also an issue. But as a film fan, as a guy who watches way too many movies, it's clear and it's apparent that the theatrical experience is definitely at risk here with someone like Netflix acquiring one of the biggest studios in the world. And once again, this is all really pure speculation. We don't know quite yet what's going to happen when or if Netflix takes over Warner Brothers. A lot can happen between now and then. But still, looking at the past, these leaders at Warner Brothers, they talk about how the theater experience is a thing of the past. They talk about how a lot of people are more so watching films at home instead of in theaters, and that's also true to an extent, right? And they also are a streaming company. They're a streaming company, so why would they invest in their competition, which is theaters? And I know that really it can all change. Then maybe Netflix decides to commit and pursue the theatrical experience, but really just kind of using common sense here. A company like Netflix, whose entire thing is streaming, is binging, it's driving statistics and rising the charts when it comes to subscriptions, why would they invest in the thing that's going to be killing their product? Doesn't make a lot of sense. They do release films in theaters, but it's not that much. Earlier this year, we did have the K-pop Demon Hunters film. That did work out for them in theaters. We did have, currently Knives Out is in theaters as well. That also worked out for them too in that regard. But most of the time, Netflix doesn't release films in theaters. They do it here and there for their Oscar credibility and to be able to compete in the Oscars. But still, outside of that, Netflix, for obvious reasons, they don't really commit. And right now, they don't really commit and drive a lot of resources into the theater industry, which is just Netflix. But still, that's a concern for why them buying one of the biggest studios in the world with some of the most iconic IPs. That's why it's a problem for me and for a lot of people, and it's very understandable. And now I do also have a quote here from the CEO of Netflix, who came out and said that we're deeply committed to releasing those movies exactly the way they would release those movies today. And he does talk about still staying committed to the theatrical experience, and I do like that a lot. It does assure me a little bit, but still, they've also talked about how the theater release window will be shortened, which already, that's a problem right now. When it comes to films that, if you're not like a really big movie, a lot of films won't be in theaters that long. If a movie is in theaters for a certain amount of time and a lot of people aren't really seeing the movie, it's going to get pulled. If there's a small, very small, cute indie film that isn't making a lot of money, it's going to be pulled quick, because if a movie studio has a film in theaters and it's not making money, it's going to be at a cost to them for the theaters. So therefore, it doesn't make sense to have a film in theaters not making money. So therefore, the theater release window, it's going to be shortened. It's not going to be as big as like how Oppenheimer was in theaters from to June or July all the way to like November. It was in theaters for, which is crazy. Even like Top Gun Maverick in theaters from like June or July all the way to like December. It was in theaters for a very long time, but that's like, those are generational films. A film like Past Lives, a really great movie, it didn't make that much money in the box office. It's okay. That's how those type of films work, but still, it's clearly a problem right now for them to double down on it and now have a film like Superman have a decreased and shortened, in terms of cinema runtime in theaters. It's going to be a problem. Not something I enjoy. And still also, when it comes to Netflix, right now they're going to say this, then the third for public approval, and they're going to pretend to be very consumer friendly. Come on. Let's be honest here. The same company that's cracked down on password sharing is going to be consumer friendly. Really? I don't think so. I'm not really buying it. It sounds like a bunch of hogwash. But still, right now, it's speculation. We're going to have to see. It's a very long track for this deal to even get finalized. Even before that, we're going to have to go through that first to get to in terms of how theater releases are going to be going down. There's a lot that needs to happen. It's pure speculation, but still, it's concerning for a mainly first priority is streaming company going into theatrical type of movies. It's not a really good sign for me, even though I know that maybe in the future they may change, but still, right now, what's happening, they don't care about theaters that much. Only big name directors get a chance to have their film in theaters that are also going to be potentially going to be really big for Oscars as well. Like Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro, like Knives Out, the new one, also in theaters right now for a little bit. Also, K-pop Demon Hunters. Those are the outlier big films. There's some big films, there's some good films right now that maybe should be in theaters, but they're not. So, it's concerning for me. It's understandably very concerning for that to happen. And I know that right now, he's saying, that big leaders and CEOs are saying this, then the third, about they're going to be committing to the theater experience. But still, as it stands right now, actions speak louder than words. And for me, when it comes to films, I can go on forever about the theater experience being very, very important. But when it comes to just the fact that a lot of movies that I've seen this decade alone, a lot of films I've seen wouldn't be good or as good if I didn't see them in a theater, with a packed theater, with a good environment like that. For example, Interstellar in IMAX last year was insane. I also saw Tenet in IMAX last year. It's a completely different film. I've seen Tenet at home 2 or 3 times-ish. When I saw it in theaters, it was a completely different experience to have that happen. I've seen Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 both in IMAX. I saw Dune Part 2 in IMAX twice and in Dolby once, and it doesn't even compare if I saw it at home. It's still a great film. It's still the same movie, but in theaters, the magic of that moment, it doesn't even compare to watching it on my couch on my 50-inch TV. Doesn't even compare, not even close. So like I said, a lot of speculation, a lot of just right now, it's early talks. There's nothing really confirmed to be happening just yet. Right now, it's still business as usual, but still, it's concerning. It's concerning for the theater industry. It's concerning for us as movie fans. It's a lot of concern, but right now, it's very early on. We don't have any hard proof or evidence for anything, so we're going to have to see. Even more on this, I'm sorry, I know I said I was just about to move on, but still, even more, I found just more quotes I have saved on my phone. There's one from the co-CEO of Netflix saying that there's no reason to believe that the movie itself is better in any size screen for all people. My son's an editor, he watched Lawrence of Arabia on his phone. And the CEO of Netflix, for that quote, for context, he was saying that Barbie and Oppenheimer would be just as big if they were on Netflix as in theaters. If that doesn't show you just how tone deaf and out of touch with their core audience, and not the core audience, but still, for what movies should be, if that doesn't show you, just from that one quote, how much of a problem this definitely potentially could be in the future, then I don't know what will. I really don't. It's concerning, it's frustrating, but still, we got to move on to the second thing that's definitely maybe even more concerning when it comes to this deal and this potential future is physical media. In physical media, it's very important, and physical media also definitely still very niche at this point in its lifetime. I know that back in the day before streaming, physical media was everything. Physical media used to play a very big part in streaming, or not streaming. It played a very big part in terms of film success, and for understandably so. A movie back in the day, back in my day, a film could not do that good on theaters in a theater run, but still, when it released on DVD, Blu-ray, it had a second life. It had a chance to really make a good bit of money. Now, that's over. You know, people may still rent something, but still, it's now just dumped onto Hulu or Netflix or Paramount Plus. You know, but still, myself included, there's definitely a smaller niche of people who still collect physical media. Who, someone like myself, one, speaking technically, physical media is the best way to watch a movie outside of a theater. Having a 4K disc and a 4K player and a good audio system and a good TV is better than a streaming service. It is. It's just better for the quality. I'm not going to talk about the tech reasons. I already work in IT. Don't want to talk about that. But still, it's very important, and it's already objectively better than streaming. But still, when it comes to owning a movie on DVD, on 4K Blu-ray, it is better for me, and I know that I own it. I don't have to rely on what company is about to buy what company, what streaming rights is about to go where. I know that I own Interstellar. I own it on 4K Blu-ray. No matter if it's going to be on Netflix tomorrow or on HBO Max yesterday, I own Interstellar. I own it, and I'll own it forever. No one can take that from me, ever. Unless my house gets robbed, which I pray doesn't happen, but still, I own Interstellar. I own Oppenheimer on 4K and Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2. I own over 120 movies on 4K Blu-ray. I do. And no one did that from me. Now, what's the problem with this in the future? A company like Netflix buying one of the biggest studios in the world. And once again, this is pure speculation. I haven't seen Netflix speak out on this officially just yet, and I don't know if they really will quite yet. But still, this is a concern for me and a lot of people because Netflix, once again, is a streaming company. And if Netflix, a streaming company, is going to be buying this, one of the biggest studios in the world, then physical media, it's looking kind of scary for it right now. You know, once again, why would a company who's invested in streaming is their number one thing, if they have access to all these IPs, what makes me think that Netflix, one of their priorities is to invest in physical media, is to make more physical media? Once again, right now it's extremely early. The deal isn't even official yet, but still, where it's concerning is that Netflix might not be interested in investing in this medium, in this small niche thing. They might not be interested. Who's to say Netflix just pulls the plug and doesn't really care to release anything else on physical media? Right now, there's a lot of newer films that haven't been released on physical media. An example, Martin Scorsese, his most recent film, Killers of the Flower Moon. It's an Apple TV movie. It never got a physical media release, ever. Not one. I cannot own that movie on physical media. It does not exist. Now in the future, maybe there's going to be some type of collab with a smaller boutique label physical media company that will make a physical media copy for it, but still it doesn't exist. Also, Barbarian is one of the best horror films of the decade so far, yet I cannot own it on Blu-ray or even DVD. It does not exist. So, a company like Netflix, who's going to be having the opportunity to make physical media, why would they? Why would they make the competition that's literally the thing that can potentially drive down their subscription and statistics? Why would they do that? It's concerning for me, it's concerning for others, and it's definitely a problem. And once again, it's all very early on. It's still 12 to 18 months before this gets closed and finalized, and potentially it might not even be approved. Congress and President Trump have already spoken out about how this could be a problem for the industry, for potentially being a monopoly. They've already spoken out about that, and who knows? I mean, we don't know right now. And also, Netflix has released physical media things in the past, but those have been in collaboration with other companies who have been given the rights to make the physical media copy. Like The Irishman is a Scorsese film, also a Netflix movie, but it was given to Criterion. They were given the rights to make that physical media copy. Very different thing here, but still, they've done it in the past. And once again, I could be just very concerned and very scared right now for the future of this art form that I love. You know, potentially Netflix could make a complete 180 and say, you know what? We need to release more films in theaters. They need to release longer in theaters. We need to have more physical media, not less. This could definitely happen. Will it happen? I don't know. There's definitely a lot going on. Who knows what can happen? There's a lot of questions. I'm very interested and scared, but still, we don't know quite yet. There's a lot of things that could happen. And now, just for the second half of this episode, like I said, the same way that anything can happen, anything can change, the reason that I'm happy that I didn't decide to re-record this episode was the fact that news broke that Paramount is apparently saying, hold my beer, $100 billion, I'll take the entire company. I mean, I don't know what's going on right now. So Paramount is a massive company. They're already deciding to just offer $1 billion, well, not $1 billion, times that by 104-ish billion dollars for Warner Brothers Discovery. So once again, I'm not going into the full details of it's increasing by this percent per share. We're not doing that today. I'm really sorry to break it to you. We're not doing that. What I will say and what I will clarify is that with Netflix's deal, it's for like $80 billion, and it's going to be only for the Warner Brothers side of things. But for Paramount, it's going to be like 104, 102-ish range, and it's going to be for Warner Brothers and the Discovery side of the company as well with that merger. So, what does this mean? This means that Paramount could definitely become absolutely a monopoly. At least I don't have to be an expert. I'm not trying to, be a expert on this and the third and economy and what is a monopoly and a monopolist, whatever. I know for a fact that if, at least all signs point to it, that if a company wins this, this little bidding war thing, that they're going to have access to CBS and CNN and all of HBO and Paramount Plus streaming library. That sounds a little scary. That's major distribution for a lot of media. And also, the father for the CEO of Paramount is going to be making the U.S. version of TikTok as well. If that's not concerning, that's a little bit concerning, then I'm not sure what is. So, what's the deal here? We have two potentially evil entities here that have a possibility to really change the game when it comes to the way films and media are released in the next few years. We have either a company that does not, or potentially does not really care about the theater experience, they don't care that much about the physical media for the consumer. Or the second option is a company that's trying to become a super evil mega corporation that's in control of two of the biggest news networks and also in control of one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. I mean, really, which one do you want to pick? I mean, do you want to pick the evil one or the evil one? Do you want to pick the losing one or the losing one? Who do you want to pick? What are my thoughts on it? Who am I going with here? What I'm going with is I don't care anymore. There you go. You know, I must say it. I don't care. It's out of my control. I'm not a part of any of these boards. I don't have a single share in any one of these companies. I don't care. I don't care. It's out of my control. I have zero control over it. All of these billionaires and Congress people don't care about the consumer. They don't care about anyone but themselves. You know, I know the classic, incredible line that I had to leave everything to the government. The government, the same people in Congress who have somehow make $100,000 a year but still have a net worth of $200 million. 100%. That's definitely not insider trading or connected to anything at all. Not funded by any foreign countries for sure. 100%. Definitely. Absolutely. Even like, for example, how the Warner Brothers bid includes $24 billion from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, as well as Jared Kushner's affinity partners. You know, what does all this mean? Is there maybe some kind of secret stuff going on behind closed doors under the table? Potentially, but guess what? I don't have any control over it. It's not like I have $140 billion to throw at Netflix or throw at Paramount or throw at Warner Brothers to buy them. You know, if I could buy all three companies, I would, but I can't. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm already too busy running this multi-trillion-dollar. I'm kidding. We're not multi-trillion-dollar evaluated, not yet, but very soon. But still, that's really it for today's episode. I wanted to just give my thoughts, give my news on things. Like I said, right now it's very early on. It's very early. It takes 12 to 18 months for this deal to finalize and close, and we are still very short on with that timeline. And there's still lots to go through before we can really have some definitive concerns with things. It's definitely no secret that film is evolving and theater experiences are evolving. You know, things are definitely not going to be the same as they were. In the next few years, things are going to be very different. It's clear on that. It's no secret to that at all. It's okay because there's really nothing we can do about it. We can vote with our wallets. We can voice our concerns to these companies. We can try to fight like hell, like we can. But for now, nothing we can do at this point in time. It's clear. You know, cinema in the 70s and 60s isn't the same in 2025. It's clear. It's very important to recognize that. And film isn't going to die, but it's going to evolve into something different, into something that we may not like, but still it's going to evolve whether we want it to or not. Life finds a way. Life needs art, and we're all going to need art, regardless of where we are or who we are in the world. So that's just going to about do for this episode. I'm not going to be any more doom and gloom and the world's ending in 5 days kind of guy. So I want to know. Voice your opinions down below. What do you think about this? Is it good? Is it bad? And in the future, I'll probably talk about this more if we get some other crazy details on things. But for now, until next time, I'm Real Slogan. Stay swagged out. Stay cool. Watch more films. Go to the movies. Support your theaters. Support your cinemas. Buy more movies as well. Buy more physical media. Buy a lot more now. Things can get really bad in the future for physical media. So buy more. Buy as much as you can. And until then, I'm Real Slogan. I'll see you both in the movies.